this is one story where obviously, just like any other debate, you will have people for or against, but you decide on how you want to look at it. So a new mega parliament complex has been cleared. This was in the works for a very long time. PM's pet project has in fact been cleared by all relevant departments in record time. The aim is to complete the project in 2 years to celebrate the 75th Independence Day. Now, whether that can happen or not is a different question, but the requisite permissions have been granted. The new building will have 2 floors and a basement, total space of over 65,000 square meters. The CPWD has dispensed with system of seeking both technical and financial bids. A new look of the central vista is also expected to cost about 20,000 crore rupees. But then comes a fundamental question. At a time when we are struggling for basics, in the middle of a pandemic, where we desperately want to spruce up our healthcare budget and our healthcare infrastructure, is this the best time to pursue an ambition or a dream of having a new complex? Would this money not be better served in building new hospitals? Let me quickly share with our viewers an interesting statistic, and this is the comparison of India's healthcare spend if you compare it to the proportion of the GDP. So the Indian spend on healthcare, if you compare it to the GDP, is 1.29% of the GDP. 1.29% of the GDP in this country is spent on healthcare. That in Brazil, India's friend, is 9.2%. That in South Africa is 8.1%. Russia is 5.3%. China is 5%. The US of A is 16.9%. Germany is 11.2%. France is 11.2%. And Japan is 10.9%. So now you decide whether we, as of this moment, I'm not saying we don't need a parliament. Of course we do. But what's the priority right now? To increase spend on healthcare or have a swanky new parliament in 2 years? Let me introduce our guests this evening. Dr. Manoj Rajoria, Lok Sabha MP of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Aadil Singh Boparai, spokesperson of the Congress and advocate in the Supreme Court. Sabha Naqvi, senior journalist, wrote a fantastic piece today on how the parliament is being used. Sabha, that was a fantastic piece. And Alpana Kishore, senior journalist, who also joins us and has written extensively about this matter. Mr. Rajoria, let me begin with you. Would you agree, Mr. Rajoria? Welcome to this show. Would you agree that as of this moment, this would be considered as indulgence in the name of democracy?
No, we cannot say it is. This is essential work. We should go with. There is problem in hearing. Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Are you being able to? Are you hearing your own voice?
Yeah. Now I am able to hearing.
Sure. Please carry on.
So, will you ask me again what are you asking?
Yes. So, Mr. Rajoria, my question to you is this. At a time when we are struggling with the pandemic, where we would much rather spend on our healthcare and hospitals, do you think that building a swanky new parliament is the need of the hour? Are we indulging a bit too much in the name of democracy?
Sir, this was very old dream of everybody of this India, of every parliamentarian, because the space in the parliament is not sufficient for the working of the parliamentarians as well as the officials. So, pandemic is the another situation. Honorable Prime Minister is doing well, or Health Ministry is doing well. Even regarding budget, you can say this is not too much budget. Overall, all the infrastructure of the country, like the roads, electricity, defense, and this parliament as well is good. And I think so pandemic is important, and government of India, Prime Minister is dealing very well. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is dealing very well. And budget is regarding, this depends on the center and state, and government of India have opened medical college in every district. And they have allotted at least 350 crore rupees to every district to open the medical college, and they have allotted budget for equipments and the other facilities to district hospitals and the CSC and PSCs also. And for the research work also, they are doing well with the help of the ICMR also. So I think Government of India doing very well in health sector
So
as
you're
well as
saying
the
this is not one
infrastructure development.
against the other. This is these both things can coexist. You can
Yeah,
have
of
a new
course.
parliament also, and you need to spend on healthcare also.
Everything is important, sir.
Okay, okay. Aadil Singh Boparai, you have heard Dr. Rajoria's opening comment. I want to know from you, what do you say?
Well, Sanket, this is not indulgence. This is wasteful expenditure, and this wasteful expenditure is being undertaken to satisfy the desire and penchant of one man's megalomania at the expense of the taxpayer. Today, India is grappling with multiple challenges. We are the third worst affected country in terms of the number of infections. We are 138th, one of the lowest in the radar, one of the lowest in the ladder in terms of testing per population ratio. Today, our economy stands decimated. Unemployment stands at over 20%. There are mass layoffs, there are retrenchments in every sector, including your sector, including the media sector. Labor-intensive sectors such as hospitality, such as real estate, such as aviation, such as manufacturing, have been run down to the ground. We are facing skirmishes. There is Chinese incursion in the Ladakh sector. At such a time, is this project necessary? Shouldn't have this project been deferred? Shouldn't this project be scrapped in light of the current situation? The problem with the BJP, Sanket, is that their penchant for propaganda trumps national interest. 20,000 crore rupees could have been used to augment healthcare. The Ahmedabad Civil Hospital, the Prime Minister's own home state, the Gujarat High Court calls the Ahmedabad Civil Hospital a dungeon. This is the indictment by the Ahmedabad High Court.
Okay.
The government could have allocated that money there.
The
government should set up an unemployment corpus for young persons, citizens who are losing jobs on a daily basis. There should be direct cash transfers.
Okay.
The central government should devolve funds to the states. They've sent the states
let's
to fight this
give
epidemic
Dr.
by
Rajoria
tying
a
their
right
hands
to reply.
behind the back.
One moment. You've made your intervention. Dr. Rajoria, would you like to respond? You've heard what the Congress feels. And I can tell you that let this not be about politics. There is a genuine sentiment that many people feel much rather have greater spend on healthcare, even if temporary, just for this year. See, because this is an unusual situation.
Yeah. Sanket, as earlier I told,
have not waited for a while.
I earlier explained to you that after the Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, after 2014, he have taken so many steps to increase the healthcare facilities in India. Like they have opened, trying to open the medical college in every district, you know it. But Congress never think about it. Other is things, the other facilities like district hospital upgradation, they are doing well. CSC upgradation, 1.5 lakhs wellness centers, we are upgrading it.
Correct.
So Congress is not looking all these things. They never did it. But they are blaming the Honorable Prime Minister and BJP only. They are just throw the stones and go away. This is wrong policy. I think so that we should go in the positive direction in every sector. Like the health sector is very important, and we are taking very important steps also. So, and as well as in Corona and pandemic also, Government of India is doing well. So, health sector is important. We are going in right
I think
direction.
what Dr.
Honorable
Rajoria is
Prime
trying
Minister,
to say over here, Aadil.
Sir,
Sure.
Honorable Prime Minister have given 50,000 ventilators through PM Care funds, and all the MPs have given 2 years MP fund to this Corona pandemic.
Okay.
Sir, 2 years, and 30% of the salary is on the appeal of the Prime Minister. Every person have given, every MP has given. So all the efforts they are doing by Government of India is very well. I think Congress should come together to fight the Corona, not to fight the BJP.
Okay.
And
Adil, before you respond, I have to get in Alpana Kishore and Sabha Naqvi also. We have heard the political side of the argument. One is, Alpana Kishore, let's begin with you. One is whether this is indulgence, more so at a time like this, when we are struggling with a pandemic, or even generally was it wasteful expenditure, as the Congress suggests?
Well, I think the case has been made for the argument that you're putting forward, that it's absolutely a huge indulgence at this particular time. It's an indulgence when you compare costs for everything else, whether it's health, education, or anything else in our country. I mean, we have a million causes that we can spend this money on. I'd like to take a slightly different tack to this argument and I'd like to say that Parliament and the Central Vista are symbols of our independent identity. And you don't play around with that. You don't, Britain has an 800-year-old parliament. It burned down last century, 2 centuries ago. A new one was built. This one is 200 years old. There is a case for, these monuments that are special and that are unique to us. And then they form the crux of our identity. They represent our democracy. And I'm sorry to say that not even a scrap of democracy or public involvement has been part of this project ever at any stage. So clearances are taken secretly, furtively, in the dark. They are taken so quickly so that there can be no public hearing. They are taken during a pandemic, so nobody's around to protest, or the institutions have been hollowed out, so nobody is coming forward to say anything, or even if they do, it doesn't matter really, because all kinds of things are stitched up from other ends. So this kind of secrecy and this keeping away of democracy, keeping the public away, to me is really the most reprehensible part of this project. And no, it doesn't need to be done at all. There is no need for it. Any parliament can be retrofitted. The British Parliament is being retrofitted, and it's going to take 12 years. So, we are saying that we want it done in 2 years. The British Parliament is ready to go away, make its parliament, makeshift temporary parliament in a convention center like Pragati Maidan, and come back after 12 years just so they can retain that historic symbol of their identity. Correct. And their democracy.
Correct. I think from what we've heard of the government, it's not like they're doing away with this building. It's not like this parliament complex is going to go away somewhere. It's not doing away, but it's being left empty. It's not going to be used to be a symbol of for
democracy.
Parliamentary business.
Yeah. A second one. No, we don't need another one.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Sabah Naqvi, now this is about building a new parliament. You talk and you argue on what we are doing with this existing parliament. That in the middle of a pandemic, what are we doing in the parliament? Precious little.
So, yeah.
Can you explain?
So, thank you for this, Sanket, and I think your data on the health figures, which we all know, it's very useful for the public to hear it again and again. We are one of the world's democracies the parliament has not functioned during this crisis. As if you've read my article, Parliament, just in a panic about an MP being in contact with a corona patient, just shut down on March 24th. We have made no effort to get Parliament to function. We are not permitting virtual meetings of standing committees on the grounds of security at a time when all sorts of meetings by the Prime Minister himself are taking place virtually. The monsoon session, Sanket, and you also know the compound, as do I. Our parliament compound can accommodate with social distancing in the central hall, not in the chambers, can actually function with the way the central hall is right now. So within 6 months, by September, we have to meet, MPs have to meet. And but the monsoon session is likely to be delayed. We have shown no interest in getting Parliament, which is one of the pillars of our democracy, to function during this crisis. And I think that's a very, very serious matter, because we would have had a parliamentary oversight. You cannot be a functioning democracy over parliamentary oversight. On this project in particular, I have no idea why the government, I don't want to speculate about egos and personalities. I don't want to get into that. Sure. Besides Parliament, we have the Parliament House Annex, which has been repeatedly used by the Bharatiya Janata Party for its national executive meetings. Any reporter who has covered Parliament and politics in Delhi knows we have a lot of space. The British Parliament does not have the facility. When they got back to work during the pandemic, while Boris Johnson was in hospital, they do not have the space to actually for MPs to meet. We do have it in Central Hall of Parliament, right? We have that actually with some norms in place. The Rajya Sabha can meet on certain days, the Lok Sabha can meet on certain days. Talk to MPs, they'll tell you it can happen. But we have chosen to ignore this pillar of our democracy. We don't want parliamentary oversight, apparently, at this time. And the most important thing is I would take this opportunity to talk about something called, have taken away money from the MP LADS. MP LADS means MP's Local Area Development Scheme, which gave each MP 5 crores every year to spend on their constituency. So you've taken away 10 crores from each MP. Many MPs, even BJP guys, they can't say it publicly, are extremely upset at not having their own resources to deal. Yes, they are. They can't say it publicly, Sanket, but privately they are upset. But all the opposition parties have been upset about this. That money is to go to the central pool.
Okay.
So,
okay,
in my view,
Dr.
you are
Rajoria.
cutting that money, but you are
Dr. Rajoria, I want to quickly bring in Dr. Rajoria at this moment. Number one, Dr. Rajoria, are you unhappy that the MP LADS fund has been taken away from you? Number one. And number two, I think the larger point that Sabha seems to be making is that the problem in the existing parliament is not space. It is the desire or the intent.
Sir, Sanket ji, first of all, as a MP, I am very happy that I contribute my part to fight against the pandemic of Corona. Sir, and I am happy to contribute 10 crore rupees in Parliament Relief Fund. So I think some MPs may be there in other parties, but in BJP, everybody is happy to give their services to fight against this pandemic Corona, sir. And second one is the willingness of the government to run the session on the time, especially the monsoon session. I think the government is doing well, especially Speaker of the Lok Sabha and the Speaker of the Rajya Sabha.
No, but Dr. Rajoria, could the Parliament have not been convened? Because, I only
they have taken all party meetings and all party decide how they can run the session, especially the monsoon session is delaying. Of course, this is delaying, but they are doing well. They are talking with all the parties. And the matter of the space, yes, Sabha said right, the central space is available. And by maintaining the social distance, there are possibilities can assess there that how they can run.
Another fundamental question, Dr. Rajoria. Another fundamental question. If we want a new parliament complex, do you think we'll be able to do justice?
Of course, I will invite. Sir, of course, I will invite Alpna. I will invite Alpna ji, Sabha ji, and everybody, including you.
Aadil Boparai
during session, you come in Lok Sabha. See the seats and arrangement, how we sit. You see in a 3-person seats, we sit 5 persons. You see it. Even from the gallery of the media, you can see it, sir.
No, Dr. Rajoria, that was Alpana's point, that the world over, parliament complexes are retrofitted to make them modern.
Yeah.
You don't have to build a new parliament. Anyway, see, the point is that's a totally different debate. I want to ask you at this moment. Yeah, Alpna wants to come in. Alpna.
Yeah, I just want to say...
See, this is a really broad debate on whether we need a new parliament or not. Point is, at this moment, do we need to start working?
I'm just saying one point, कि कौन सा देश अपनी पूंजी को बर्बाद करता है, अपनी पूंजी के साथ खिलवाड़ करता है. I mean, you have the Taj Mahal, you have Meenakshi Temple, you have the Sun Temple at Konark. Does somebody say, oh, let's change this? It's been lying around for 400 years or 1200 years. Let's, put up a nice mall next to it or a multi-story building or something in the same kind of style, architectural style. But, it needs development, it needs change. No, of course not. We don't touch those assets of ours. These are assets. We can't destroy them. We can't just do what we feel like with them.
Adil, I want to come to you and then we'll end with Dr. Rajoria.
And I just want to add that 4 years ago or 5 years ago, a proposal had been sent to make Delhi a heritage city. And so this would have been a zone where you can't touch it. It's like the Vatican in Rome, or it's like, the most historic places around the world that are untouchable. So we put this proposal in one breath, and in the other breath, we just completely destroy it.
Sanket, can I come in?
Yeah, Adil, very quickly.
Sanket, unfortunately, the BJP MP seems to be removed from reality. The Ministry of Finance has cited paucity of funds as one of the grounds for cancelling dearness allowance of military pensioners for financial year 2021. So much for their patriotism. But you must understand the BJP slightly more, in a more deeper aspect. Please understand the BJP psyche. Today, Mr. Modi wants to leave a legacy. He wants to leave an indelible mark on India. He's failed on the economic front. He's failed on the foreign policy front. He's demolished institutions. What is Mr. Modi's legacy for posterity? It is demonetization. It is a failed GST. So therefore, how do you whitewash all this? Therefore, you start constructing monuments, you start constructing structures, you start leaving something so that history remembers you perhaps more fondly. So this is perhaps the reason why the BJP is pushing this project in the midst of a crisis. Please understand, the least the BJP should have done, the least an empathetic government should have done is to defer
this. Okay.
Today,
Dr. Rajoria,
we need funds for healthcare. You are withholding
Dr. Rajoria,
GST
I guess the
areas
purpose
for
of
the
this
state
debate
governments.
today is not to debate on whether we need the complex at all or not, because that's a larger debate. See, that debate shall continue. But the point is, why at this moment? Why has department after department, in great secrecy, as Alpana seems to be mentioning, granted so much, so over-eager to grant permission? Also, if I may add on a lighter note, what sort of a parliament structure will we build in just 2 years?
Sir, the decision was taken earlier before the corona or this pandemic, sir. So we cannot say this, we started this project during this pandemic only. The decision was taken 1 year back before this pandemic. Second thing, we cannot say that simultaneously we can start all the projects. So Congress is, I think, prejudiced, and they are just pointing out every development work. Either this is related with the roads and infrastructure for the public utility, or even we have made Ambedkar's so many statues and buildings also. So they will oppose them only. So they are, if they want to discuss on the finance subject, they can come on the next day. They can find it. But the parliament is also essential. Parliament building is also essential, and the pandemic efforts and pandemic control is also must. I think so. Both of things are important, and we should go on the both direction, as well as the control of the pandemic and this parliament.
Running out of time now, but Dr. Rajoria, Aadil Singh Boparai, Sabha Naqvi, Alpana Kishore, I promise we'll debate this again once the construction begins, or once something else happens around this story. And before we go, I want to leave all of you all, and also our viewers, with that graphic plate once again of India's percentage spend on healthcare if you compare it to our GDP and the rest of the world. Food for thought, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.